You know those times when you are in the shower or trying to sleep and you're like, we will never know who is the perfect serial killer because he will never be caught. Well, in today's video I'll be ranking lots of these kinds of thoughts. Some are dumb, some are philosophical and you don't want to miss those, but one thing I can guarantee. By the end of this video you will have learned absolutely nothing. Who do you think I am? A f***ing teacher? So firstly, which tier list am I going to use? Is it going to be the F all the way up to S like you usually see? No. What would be an S tier shower thought? It doesn't really make sense, it's kinda weird, so I made my own tier list, starting with just dumb, for the just dumb, made me think a little, minus 3 hours of sleep, and only God knows. God just being a way of portraying an idea, if God exists or not, is a shower thought in on itself, so either way, now that you know what you're dealing with, let's start with, do we really have free will? I know, basic, but I wanted to start with a strong one. Maybe one of the strongest ones, because I mean, only God knows. Did I actually choose to make this video and start with this one? Or did the sequence of my actions and of everybody's actions play the role for me to be right now on top of this green screen talking about shower thoughts? Well, I don't really have a formulated opinion, because I can understand both sides. In one hand, sure, thinking that we have free will and that we are able to choose our own actions is wonderful, and it's a reality that I hope we all live in, not to mention that it prevents people from making stupid decisions, because ultimately the responsibility falls onto us. But then I start to look at stuff in a more deterministic way, and not having free will also makes a lot of sense. And I'm not just talking in I don't really have actual preferences because the government controls me and I'm the sum of the people that I talk the most with. I'm really talking in a mechanistic level. If I was the smartest man alive, which I am, or if I take it into the philosophical world and I was the Laplace's demon, a philosophical idea developed by, well, Laplace, and I knew the position of all particles in the universe at a specific time, and I was also very good at math, I could realistically calculate whatever outcome of the interactions of said particles. Therefore, I would know what would happen for every particle in the universe and, by consequence, what would happen to every single being. Because I knew what came before and I would know what would come after. So talking just in a human scale, if I was able to calculate the outcome of a person's life, for example, did that person really have the ability to choose anything at all? Or was she just tricked by her brain to make her think that she chose anything? Well, I don't really know. I don't know if anybody knows, and that's only God knows tier. Come on, because only God knows. But this shower thought won't be here on this tier alone forever, because the question, does AI have free will soon make its presence there. Quick disclaimer, for this talk to make sense, we have to agree that we have free will, okay? For this argument, we have free will. Let's all agree on that for now, okay? Anyway, is AI programmed? Sure. So doesn't that mean that it can have free will since it has a code pre-making its decisions? I don't know. Because we also have a backend code, yes, we have DNA. I didn't even mention that before, but yeah, we humans have DNA. DNA that is formed by 4 different bases, adenine, thymine, guanine and cytosine. Adenine always linking to thymine and cytosine to guanine, and they link themselves in a double helix shape, and those sequences of bases basically tell us which height we will have, if we are more prone to get weight or not, our eye color, even to our moods and senses of humor. So again, if we assume that we have free will, at least for this talk, why can't AI have free will? We are coded just like them. Thing is, instead of being coded in a computer with ones and zeros, we are coded in a biological way. So are we that different? Why do we try to separate ourselves from things so much? Why the God complex? It is only God knows here. Because I sure as hell don't know. We sure as hell don't know. And by the way, this last question, the why the God complex, is the perfect segue for the next topic. Human-made things are also natural things. Buildings, factories, ham, pencils, aircrafts, weapons, nuclear bombs, they are all natural and not man-made. I know, what am I even saying? What non-natural substance did I use? But look, we are humans, and what are humans? And I'm asking seriously. In principle, humans are animals, right? We are monkeys that decided to place points in the intelligence skill tree instead of strength. But ultimately we are primates. Primates are animals and so we are animals, and animals are natural. If you go to the middle of the forest and you see, I don't know, a fucking chimp using a branch to reach some ants and eat them, you think, whoa, look at nature, such a beautiful thing, he's even using sticks to eat. But that's us! Thing is, instead of using a fucking branch to eat some ants like a stupid fucking chimp, we build giant towers and spacecrafts and modify DNA and program AIs, and we build farms and cell phones and do things just like monkeys but in a puffed up scale. However, in the end, we are still animals. We are still using natural materials to build things that are still natural. Things that are being built by animals. Thing is, we just like to inflate our egos and say, we are destroying the world with our man-made things, we are fucking up the natural order of stuff, this is not natural, we are not natural, we are gods and we are destroying the world because we are gods. I don't believe that. We are still going with the natural order of things. We are just animals f***ing up stuff. Like when there are invasive species in a place where they are not supposed to be. Maybe we are just that. Evasive animals f***ing up this giant ecosystem. But again, still animals, still natural beings, doing things that are natural. We are no gods and no difference from a monkey, but with less body hair and more IQ points, for the most part. I'ma place it in the -3 hours of sleep. Seems fair. And talking about man-made things, let's scale down, calm down a bit and think of this. If I take 2 slices of bread and I put ham in between them, I get a ham sandwich. Fair. If I take turkey and I put it in between the 2 slices of bread, I get a turkey sandwich. Okay, so what if I take a slice of bread and I put it here, and then I take another slice of bread and I put it here? Money is useless and you suffer for effectively nothing and you live in the Matrix and you should jump off a bridge, I think. Sorry, I know, kind of a surprising switcheroo. But okay, let's dive deep. Jesus, what the fuck did I say just now? Firstly, I want you to kinda zoom out and get the fact that money is only worth something because we gave it significance. At face value, a $1 bill, it's just a piece of paper with a number and some faces printed on it. The thing is, we as a society decided to say that that $1 bill is equivalent to some goods. For instance, if I have 1,000 of those $1 bills, I can buy a cell phone. So using some basic logic, we can say that a cell phone is the same as those $1,000 bills. Now, of course, that nowadays we don't really use $1,000 bills, we use our credit cards. So we are saying that a cell phone is the same as some numbers in a screen, which is already weird, but we can go even deeper. In the country that I live in, Portugal, the minimum wage is about 4.94 euros per hour, which means that, doing some quick maths, to buy a phone that is worth 1,000 euros, you would need to work about 200 hours. So using basic logic, we are saying that a $1,000 phone is roughly worth 200 hours of your time if you work a minimum wage job in Portugal. 200 hours is about 8 days, so that means that to buy that piece of metal and plastic and graphite and slave work from mines in Taiwan, you are effectively giving away 8 days of your life. You're putting yourself through hardship, wasting time, not enjoying your life, to buy a rectangle that shows you memes. And in reality, this goes for effectively anything that you buy. Foods, clothes, cinema tickets, whatever. If you work a normal job, you are not paying stuff with your money. Money is just a transaction. Money is just a thing that is in the middle. You are ultimately paying with your time. You're not giving away this dollar bill that means nothing. You're giving away ticks on a clock. You're giving away breathing moments that could be used on anything else. Now please, do not quit your jobs, okay? Don't get the wrong idea, jobs are important. I bet that you like the fact that you don't die off of a flu, and that you don't get mauled by bears in a daily basis, and that you can sleep at night comfy and without rain dripping over your head. The system that we use today, it's nice, and it's nicer than it has ever been. And it's very cool to live like this. It would be weird of me to insult the system and then record a video with a cell phone on top of a green screen inside a house to post it on the internet. I'm just thinking out loud and trying to think of stuff in a cynical way. Okay? Okay. But in the end, money is really worthless. Just pieces of paper. numbers on a screen, and ultimately we are trading our time for anything. It made me think a little here. Now, still talking about societies and how we live and stuff, what about cities themselves? Now I know what you are probably thinking. What do you mean cities are a shower thought? What the fuck are you even talking about? What unnatural or natural stuff, I don't even know right now, substance did you use before making this video? Let me explain my case. But you have to use your imagination. Keep close attention. If you think about cities, like, just think about a city. They are like a giant web of pipes and electrical cables all connecting with each other, covered by some concrete, some molten rock. And we are all connected through this unseen physical web of connections. And then we add in the unseen web of human connections, of cars passing by and lights turning on and off and people walking on the streets. And it's like a hive where we are all interconnected with each other without ever even noticing. I did a video about this topic in more detail, go see it after you finish this one, but yeah, cities are this super complex system that is always running and everything is connected and going perfectly. And I lost a lot of hours thinking about this, and it goes into the -3 hours of sleep tier. It was probably minus about 20 hours of sleep. I lost some time thinking about this, Jesus. Now, completely switching topics, let's talk about time. And I'm not even trying to answer if time exists or not, I let that for another time. Let's just say time exists. There's the past and the future and stuff. But what about the present moment? Like, is the present real? Is this that I am experiencing even here? Because I mean, yes, I am seeing things and feeling and hearing, but all of those go through different sensory systems and take different amount of times to be processed. Look, let's say that someone slaps your arm. I know that it isn't really feasible since you don't really leave your house, but let's say it happens. It takes about 1 nanosecond for light to reach from your arm to your eyes, if it's on a 30 centimeters distance more or less, which I think it's more or less this distance, I don't know what I'm saying. It takes about 1 nanosecond for light to reach your eyes. Then that light is transformed in electrical signals, the signals go through the brain, the information is processed, and you see. All that takes about 100 milliseconds to happen, plus the 1 nanosecond, which isn't really a big difference, but it is there. When you are slapped, it also produces a sound that takes about 0.8 milliseconds to reach your ears. Then that sound is captured by you, it is processed, so on and so on, and all of that takes roughly about 100 milliseconds too to happen, plus the 0.8 milliseconds that took to the sound to reach your ear. Then you have the physical touch. The hand would impact your arm, signals would go across your arm into the brain, and the stimulus would be processed, and you would feel the urge to take your arm out, so you don't get slapped. And all that would revolve around 150 to 200 milliseconds to happen. All those stimulus, first of all, encapsulated different times, even if in small differences, times were different and our brain had to make sure we experienced it at the same time. But also, things happened some milliseconds ago, meaning that it took time for us to experience what happened. So we are not really experiencing stuff as it is happening right now, but with a delay of about 100 to 200 milliseconds. So we are not living like in the present moment, we are living slightly in the past. Furthermore, the present is like always happening. You can't stop the present. The moment the present arrives, it's past already. And if you're waiting for the future, you're waiting for something that is going to happen, not enjoying the present moment. So how can we say that present is even a thing if we can't even describe and know what present is? This is only God knows territory. God damn it. But I am not over with up with your head. I just discussed it that for us to experience time, our brain does a mix in the sensory data that we receive. Sensory data that is received by our sensory organs. Sensory organs that don't really get the full picture. Is reality real? Don't get me wrong, we see a lot of colors and hear a lot of sounds. It's really beautiful. I like sunsets and birds, but we don't really see all the colors nor hear all the sounds. Like we see just a specific frequency of the electromagnetic spectrum. More precisely, we see colors between the wavelength of 380 to 780 nanometers, with all of these to be seen. And we only hear sounds within the frequency of 20 to to 20,000 hertz. There are animals that can hear and see things that we are not even aware that they exist. Snakes see in infrared. Dogs hear and smell with so much more detail than us that we can't even begin to understand what they experience. Dolphins and bats see sound. So really we just experience what we are able to experience, meaning that we don't really know what is out there, and we will never be able to know. Because for our brain to understand, it needs to transform data into something that we understand, electrical signals. And that is only done if the outside reality is filtered by our sensory organs. Even if we were able to see all the colors and hear all the sounds, and I don't know, sense electrical signals and see sounds, and I don't know, if we had bodies that were able to understand anything that comes from the outside, we would still not know what reality really is, because all of those stimulus would still need to be filtered by our sensory organs, meaning that we would not experience what reality really is, but a filtered out version of what is out there, so our brain makes sense of it. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because I'm placing it on the only God knows tier. And my head is hurting after this one, okay? Sorry. Now, going back to the question that I made in the beginning of the video, just to, do a little... I don't know what I'm saying. We would never know who is the perfect serial killer because he would never be caught. There would be no documentaries like with Jeffrey Dahmer, there would be no mistakes so he get caught, just a perfect stream of murders without ever knowing who is the killer. And that shit scares me. And it's made me think a little too. It scares me mostly because killing and being a killer is a bad thing, right? Or is it a bad thing? I mean, what is bad? What is good? Bad and good are just concepts created by us after all. And that's exactly the next shower thought. With this, I'm not saying that you can go around doing things that are considered bad and start killing people, okay? At least for the most part. I'm just saying that bad and good, if you really think about it, don't really exist. Those are just words that we use to describe things, and most times we don't even get a consensus on what is good and what is bad. Usually something good is something that I like or that you like. So I can like a band and say it's good, whereas you think it's bad. Same thing goes to clothes, religion, ideas, morals, so on and so forth. Like, we can't even agree on important things. The thing is, good and bad are still needed to live a comfortable life, or at least what we consider comfortable. We say that killing is bad, so we don't do it. We say that helping is good, so we do it, for the most part. But overall, those things, those ideas, if you really think about it, are not really good and bad because that shit doesn't really exist. Because good and bad doesn't really exist the same way an atom does. Those are just ideas to help us live in a society. Now, within this topic, if good and bad don't really exist and are just a way to help us impose order in society, that could actually explain an argument that is often used against the existence of God. Sometimes people say that, well, either God is all-powerful and not all good, or he is all good but not all-powerful, due to all the disasters and rape and people that are killed every day. He couldn't be all good and let that happen because he's all-powerful, so the only option is that he is not all-powerful, but he is all good, and he doesn't have the ability to make anything he wants, which sure, it makes sense in a logical way, but if we disconnect the ideas of good and bad from God and accept that they are just human things used to create order in between us, humans, then God doesn't need to be all good, because good isn't even a thing to be. It's just a thing that we use to help us live the way we live and the way that we want to live. I hope I explained myself right. Moral of the story: good and bad is subjective and don't really exist, but it is still needed for us to live peacefully, so please don't go around doing crimes just because some guy on a green screen told you that good and bad are just ideas and they don't really exist. Ooh, sociology. I don't fucking know what I'm talking about. Minus 3 hours of sleep here. Let's go. Still on the good and bad things, let's briefly mention this. We as a modern society, the way we live now, can agree that what Hitler and Germany did wasn't really good, right? It didn't really promote peace and stuff, so we can say that, taking aside philosophical questioning, it is a bad thing. But how do we know that those things happen the way that they happened? How do we know that anything, for all that matters, happens the way that we're told to? And I'm not talking if we just popped into existence some minutes ago and all our memories got downloaded into our brains. That's for another day. I'm asking literally, how do we know that what we are preached really happened? Our world is mostly built on wars. Let's all face it. Countless battles were faced for us to be here right now. And don't you agree that the ones who won the war would be the ones that would write down history? Don't you agree that even if a country did something bad and the other country did something good, if the country that did something bad won the war, wouldn't it just hide that fact and the fact that the other country did good things? So how are we really sure that Germany was that bad, or Genghis Khan, or any side who ultimately lost? Please don't cancel me now. Again, these are just ideas. It's me, it's shower thoughts, it's me thinking out loud, okay? I think it's cool and I'm placing it on the it made me think a little tier. Almost just dumb, but not quite, because guess what? I am the owner of the channel. Yeah, you think you can just come in here and do whatever you want? No, I bought this green screen, it's mine, and I say what I want on top of it. It's my safe space. Now, to finish up the video, I know, oh, comment down below your shower thoughts if you want another video like this, and also subscribe since you're down there. Well, either way, my last shower thought for now is, aren't we just the universe thinking? Now, I want you to think of this in a broader way. What do I mean by that is, don't think of you as a separate being, as an animal, as a human. Think of you as particles clumped together interacting with each other, because ultimately that's what we are. We are arrangements of particles that have the shape of humans, but still particles, particles that in a distant past were all clumped together in this thing that we call Big Bang. And after millions and millions and millions of years, within a fraction of time, those particles happen to rearrange themselves into Earth and plants and animals and us. But we are just molded particles. We are just the universe itself, shaped in a way to form us. We are the universe itself. We try to think of ourselves as special beings, and maybe we are, but at face value, we are just the universe. And the universe happens to think. Maybe he was bored and wanted something to do or to watch, I don't know. Or maybe he's trying to understand himself through us. That's why we are evolving in technology and trying to figure out stuff. And still on this talk, maybe we are also God itself. I mean, if God is everywhere and it is everything, we would also be God, no? Or at least part God? Either way, this is only God knows tier, or only the universe knows tier, or only we know tier. I don't even know what to think about this anymore. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. It was kind of a different one, but I was taking a shower and I had this idea. Fitting. Well, next video is going to be normal again, I think, whatever the hell is normal in this channel. Maybe I will do another video like this. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Anyway, watch this if you want to learn more stuff about the universe and stuff, and yeah. See you on the next one, I think.